Is climate change really that big of a deal? After all, it seems like some of the scientific data does not fit the doomsday narrative many media outlets and activists are pushing. For example, did you know that climate change is a natural phenomenon? If you look at the data collected from Antarctic ice cores dating back 400,000 years, it's clear that the Earth cycles through periods of global warming and cooling, corresponding to a rise and fall in atmospheric carbon dioxide. We currently are in one of the naturally occurring warming phases. And while that's true, it's also not the whole story. What's alarming to scientists is that for the past 400,000 years, atmospheric carbon dioxide levels have never exceeded 300 parts per million. Today, the atmospheric CO2 level is over 415 parts per million, and it's continuing to rise. That's not normal. What's more, the data clearly shows that the CO2 level started rapidly increasing after the Industrial Revolution, indicating that this is a direct consequence of human activity. But is this really a major problem? For example, we hear a lot about how global warming is causing the ice in the Arctic Circle to melt. But scientists have observed that the amount of sea ice in Antarctica is actually increasing. So overall, everything balances out, right? Well, let's look a bit closer. First of all, the Arctic and the Antarctic are two very different ecosystems, home to distinct diverse species. The warming of the Arctic Circle threatens the plants and animals that are adapted to live there, and if their habitat is destroyed, many of them will go extinct. Secondly, note that scientists specified that Antarctic sea ice is increasing, and that too only slightly. Antarctic land ice is still decreasing at a rapid rate, a fact which has severe implications for wildlife and the ecosystem. And in the Arctic, land and sea ice are both decreasing. So no, the planet is not balancing itself out. Science is very complex, and sometimes we make observations that initially seem surprising or contrary to what we think we know. When this happens, it is then up to us to dig a little deeper and try to understand the full picture to get an accurate explanation of what is going on. A good example of this was when scientists in 2017 published a study of NASA satellite data, which showed that the amount of global land being burned between 1998 and 2015 had decreased by about 25%. This was unexpected, given how much we hear that climate change increases the likelihood and severity of wildfires. To understand what was going on, the scientists mapped the fires throughout time and overlaid it with socioeconomic data. They found that over time, as the world's population got wealthier, farmers in grassland and savanna areas who used to burn land to clear it for agriculture were now able to use mechanical tools instead. So while it is true that the number of acres of land being burned globally has been decreasing overall, this statistic actually has little to do with climate change. When scientists say they are alarmed by the increased risk of climate-related wildfires, they're talking about areas that were once not normally prone to catching fire, like the forests of North America, where out-of-control wildfires can have a huge impact on ecology and human lives. It's easy to see how statements like these can be taken out of context. When scientific experts from the IPCC stated that they were not able to conclusively determine a trend in the number of Category 3 and above hurricanes making landfall in the US each year, some politicians and prominent climate skeptics started to cast doubt on the connection between climate change and severe storms. But if we dissect this statement a little bit more, we find that hurricane categories are based only on wind speed. It does not reflect the amount of rainfall associated with the hurricane, which is the bigger concern for climate scientists. Warmer air brought about by climate change increases the amount of water vapor in the air, which in turn increases rainfall during a storm. A slow-moving hurricane, Category 2 and below, that dumps millions of gallons of rain over a certain area can still cause immense damage due to flooding and water runoff. The amount of taxpayer money that goes to disaster relief has been increasing over the years, and is a much clearer way of seeing how much climate change is affecting our society. Cherry-picking facts or deliberately not telling the whole truth is extremely detrimental to our progress as a society. So next time you hear a statement that surprises you, dig a little deeper and see if you're getting the whole story. the statement might be true, but out of context or missing key information. As a final example, let's look at this quote, which has been used to imply that climate change is not causing severe droughts. It seems compelling, right? There's even a scientific publication cited as a source, so it must be accurate. But if you take a moment to look up this article, you find that the quote was taken out of context. In the very next sentence, the authors noted that this was only true in some regions of the country. Furthermore, this finding is only relevant to the US. Since climate change is a global problem, we must look at global effects. When we do that, we see that droughts have actually become longer and more intense in many parts of the world, which can severely disrupt natural ecosystems and agriculture. Learning how to present scientific data clearly and accurately is an important skill, but taking the time to understand the full context and implications of that data is just as crucial. Even with this video and the other videos on this channel, we encourage you to be skeptical. After all, science is all about asking questions. You can check out the references linked in the description box below for all the data in this video to get started, and do your own research as well. You might get a better understanding of what you already believe, or you might end up changing your mind. But either way, that new knowledge will empower you to make better decisions for the future.